This is kind of my domain. I do all the training, or a lot of the training in Capco. Now I've got Anna as well, so we've got a few others that are not here tonight that do a lot of training in it, and that's the end of the selling bit. But I will say we have a lot of Lego when we're doing that training, so if you find any, I'll like it back because we have to keep buying it otherwise. Okay, first click. Thank you very much. You're not meant to look at that, you're meant to look at me. So if that makes your eyes go funny, tell me and we can go to the next slide. Little hands up for anybody that's been involved or found themselves in walking into a project or program that's had some bad agile practices. Anybody? Awesome. Okay. So I walked into one of those in November of last year. At the third time of asking me to go there, I either gave up or they finally sold it to me. So I walked in there and found something. Now, I'm going to give you the first one, and then I'm going to ask you to guess what some of the others will be, or just give me what you found at some of the places you've been in, and see if they kind of match. The first one was I walked in and I said, "Okay, we're agile, clearly. So what sprint are we in?" And they said, "No, we're not in a sprint." I said, okay. I said, "But you're agile, right? So what sprint are you going to be in?" And they said, "Well, we start 5 on Monday." So excellent. So we're in 4 now. No, we're not in 4 now. So what happened with 4? Well, that finished last Friday. We're in a little gap. We had a month for sprint, and it's quite tough. So we're going to have a little break. Okay. First note, literally the first note on my thing was no. We need to work this bit out. So that's one. Give me some more.
Never-ending sprint.
We had one of those as well. 7 weeks. Another one? Come on. Some bad things that happened.
You did it in one sprint and did the testing in the next sprint.
You've read my notes, haven't you? They're actually in my pocket just in case I forgot anything. But yeah, that's another one. Definitely, all they did in the sprint was development, and their show and tell was the developer showing in their environment on their PC it was working. There you go, done. That was it. Next.
Sprint 0 running for indefinite long period because design is not done.
See that? Okay, so half right. So I wasn't there for Sprint 0, but the design wasn't done. And certainly I didn't know what their MVP was either, so I didn't know how much they was going to have to do. Let me have a little look at my list, make sure I've got, because there are amazing ones, some of the ones I found in there. So only development, we talked about that. Daily stand-ups, when do you reckon they happened?
Once a week.
Every Wednesday, without fail, 50 people standing there for about 2.5 hours, yeah. No retrospectives. Jira, this was a good one. Jira had all of the epics and all the user stories, and that's what the teams were working on. 3 teams at the time. None of them were trained in Agile, none of them knew what they were doing, but that's what they were working on. The salespeople had another little thing called a functional matrix, and I can't give too much away, otherwise you'll guess who it was. But they had a functional matrix and they had all the features in it, and that's what they'd sold. Do you think they matched? No, it had virtually nothing to do with each other. No definition of ready, no definition of done. There was 4 part-time product owners. One of them was available Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. One of them was available when he wasn't on holiday, which was quite a lot. He was a very expensive guy and could do what he kind of pleased. And the other 2 were just side of the desk type stuff. Okay, so yeah. Well, I'd like to be the guy that I was just talking about there because he is loaded, but that's a different situation. Desk lottery, that was another one. So literally they would come in every day. Actually, it was actually about 20 days beforehand they had to book their desk. So you would never know where your team were, whether you were in the same building, the same floor, or whether you could find them. And I found this out because I watched one of the product owners that I promoted, but we'll talk about that, walking around, and I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Trying to find one of my team." And he was literally just trying to find one of them, let alone actually have a conversation. No whiteboards. I remember them. Come back to me, whiteboards. Remind me about whiteboards when I get there. Probably the last thing, actually, there was a days, not story points. I'm going to throw that one in there. And there's an interesting fact about that. If I dry up, then I'm going to come back to it. So if you get a lot of stats thrown at you, that'd be me. And the very last one on that was there's a migration side, digital side, operational side and development side. And when I walked in, the program director said, that's your bit. What bit? The development. Yeah, what about all the rest of it? No, just the development. I just want to agilise that bit. Don't want you to touch anything else. And I went, that's not going to work. And I said, I'll change your mind. And within 2 weeks, it was digital as well. With a little week after that, went up to the migration people and said, how do you feel about what's going on? And he went, are you here to give us some direction? Because we've been here 2 months and we haven't had any direction yet. Now, I'm not saying any of this to embarrass the company I was in. It's kind of part of the conversation we had when I first walked in, is that many people want to be agile. Many of these massive corporate tier 1 banks want to be agile, but have not a clue about what it means, what they're asking. I can see some nodding heads. Anybody falling asleep? No, good, just nodding heads, good. So, what did I do? So we're talking about scaled agile here, but the point is you don't start with that, you start with what I just found, which was, and what many of you experienced, which is not quite the right thing. So we go to a slightly less brain-numbing slide. That's actually the chaos theory that come from, so that's probably going the right direction, but not quite the same thing yet. So what do we got? Now we've got 2-week sprints that are concurrent, and they're booked in the diary all the way until December. We have story points that are based on a Fibonacci sequence, not days. We have, I promoted the 4 part-time POs to Uber product owners, and they like the name, so go with it. A lot of this is about pleasing people, right, and giving them the right aspect of it. I'm talking about guilds in a minute and how that did it as well. And then I took, let's say for now, 8 or 9 really good BAs and gave them a good talking to and told them what a product owner should do, and that we're going to give you the responsibility to be a product owner, and push them up. 3 Scrum Masters. There was 2 Scrum Masters and 1. I shouldn't have said this. I said I wasn't going to say this to you. There was an Agile coach in there as well. He left, and I sacked one of the Scrum Masters, and then I brought in another bunch of Scrum Masters. Some of them, yes, from Capco, so probably that was my job as well. But a couple of them wasn't. They were just bringing people in. One of them's there actually. She just had a little glass of drink, and now she's all leery. So we brought in some people. We had from Capco provided testing people, a product owner as well. But we then started to give it the structure, what you expect to get from Scrum. Right, this is not a Scrum 101 session. This is about how we got there. What else did we do? Let me just have a look at this again. Of course, back to your point, that we got development, and we've got testing, and we've got refinement, and we've got deployment, all in the sprints. And actually, I heard somebody today. These things always crop up when you want them to come up. They're timely. I heard somebody today saying that we're doing 3 deployments. We were actually doing 4 a sprint, but now we're doing 3 deployments a sprint, and we're doing hot fixes. And the bank that I am working for have never seen that amount of work. They've never seen one deployment every 2 weeks, let alone 3 and hot fixes in 2 weeks. So we are breaking all sorts of boundaries. Wasn't easy. I mean, it's taken me 4 months or whatever to get to that point. There's still a lot of naysayers in there, and we still have to deal with that because, like any bank, any corporate organisation, all the management keep moving all the time, and where you've got one friend and suddenly they get asked to leave or whatever, and then you've got to find somebody else to back you with it. So there's other problems still coming there. Everybody's trained. That was the easy one, right? Because I do training, so that was going to be something that happened. We've got 15 teams now, 8 Scrum Masters. I'm going to quickly go through the story points. We had this massively convoluted way of taking it. Now, with a bank that want to know what's happening, and we'll get to that with the scaled aspect in a minute, we needed to get the client away from the information that we've given them. We're giving them everything to do with the days. Of course, what are you going to do? You're a client. You're looking at it and say, can they deliver it? So you go, how many people you got? How many story points? How many days have you got on your estimates? Hang on, you can't deliver it. So we had to take them away from that. So we had this massive convoluted way of dividing up the number of developers by the number of days, and ending up getting to a ratio so that we could take the days that we had estimated so far and convert them into story points. Give me a guess what you think the ratio was. 1 to 1. It was 1 to 1. Basically, 1 to 1.1 it was. It was enough to make just a little bit of difference, but not really anything of any value. I never told anybody that, so please, if you do find out where I work for, and a quick look at LinkedIn will tell you anyway, then don't tell them because they don't know. So the client does not know that we went from story points. Sure, yeah. We went from, well, that's weird now, okay. So we went from days to story points, and it was just a 1-to-1 ratio. But now they never ask that question again, so it kind of worked. That better at the back? It's worse. I can hear myself really well with this speaker here, but you can't hear it. Don't take your top off either. I know what he's going to do. Okay, one more click on that. Let me do it. Is it that one?
Sorry.
That's all right. There you go. So we're now moving to the nice fluffy clouds and with the rainbow coming out. Who doesn't like a rainbow? So, painting a very good picture, right? We had this terrible scenario, and now we've got this fabulous situation. Not quite that way. There's a bunch of stuff that still doesn't work. We've still got, and I say this at the risk of being quoted, and clearly I'm being videoed as well. I'll try this one as well now. Is this one better? Can you?
Just talk loud.
Talk louder. I'll hold it there anyway, but I'll try and talk louder. Okay, so like I said, don't quote me on this one either, but I've never seen two organisations that connected themselves so well from a contracting point of view, but never give one iota of a thought about how to get themselves working together. They literally do not have anything in common. They can't talk on the same MI, they can't get on the same VC. They haven't got the same connections that we do, clearly slightly different time zone as well. None of that was taken into consideration. So we have to do the best we can in order to make that communication aspect work. We've got component teams, not feature teams, because I wasn't there at the start. So we've got that complication that comes with that. We've got a hugely, I probably mentioned it already, a hugely heavy overhead with reporting because the bank wants to know the ins and outs of it. I can't swear, can I? Let's not do that.
I don't mind.
Cat's backside, then I'll start there. There's a bleeping machine over there, I'm sure. So you get to a point where you're trying to minimise that and maximise what you get into. So now we get to the good bit. One more click. Actually, now you're going to have to pay attention because there's a few more lines to go now. Sorry about that. Okay, so how did we get to safe? We started off with the first one. It's going, okay. Easy bit, planning. We've introduced PI planning. Now, if anybody SPC4s here, you will know that that SAFE says the first time you do a PI planning session, it will be a disaster. We put as much effort into it as we possibly could to make sure it went well, and it did. The first one went really well, to the point where the second one, I had to concede a day, so I had to do the second one in 1 day, and that still went well. So the people were really well educated. Some of the reason for that is because of some of the other things you'll see in the slide in a minute. But the PI session, once I got it through once, is now an expected outcome from everybody. So to the point where we open Slido polls to get information back, and it's not me, I promise you it's not me, but the anonymous people that go on there are saying, can we have another PI, when's the next PI session, when's it going to go booked in, are we going to have 5 because that's what will fit, and all that kind of stuff. So the best thing for me is to hear it from everybody else coming back and saying, yeah, we want some more of this, and we're getting some good results. And we had some other high-ranking people come over from Hong Kong, that probably gives it away, I knew I'd do that at some point, okay? And we're very happy with the fact that what we were doing and wanted to take that back to some other places. So my inbox grows again. The planning predictability is unbelievable, and again, probably I can't give too much away from this, but one of the things we failed to mention right at the beginning was that the project that I'm on, or the program that I'm on, had an end date. How did they know their end date? That would have been more accurate than what they've come up with. So there's an end date, and if they don't meet the end date, there's a whole bunch of bad stuff that will happen, and you might never see me again. So they need to know if they're going to meet it or not. Now, clearly, there's no magic to any of this. All I'm trying to do is maximise the speed of the teams, minimise the amount of work, and hope that we get somewhere near it. I've got 5 minutes to go, so I'm going to keep going. Next one. It's coming. There we go. Value stream workshops. I managed to get. I've asked for a lot of things. I didn't get the jacuzzi. Shireen, is Shireen still there? Did I ask for a jacuzzi? I did. Weren't there questions about, yeah? See, and then for some reason, maybe it was the floor wasn't going to support it. Didn't get the jacuzzi. I didn't get the rewritable whiteboards and stuff like that. I did, however, through an error in some of the ordering, end up with 3 major big size whiteboards, about 25 slightly smaller ones, and about 20 of the smaller ones than that as well. And also, somehow or another, I managed to get them to paint virtually a size room like this with the paint that you can actually write up against. So we've done value stream mapping all over the place, and we're always doing it. It's always somewhere we go into this massive room and we start working on it. So sometimes it really is just get yourself a bunch of post-it notes and a bit of space and leave it there, and then you can use that. We've got 3 MVP releases, so we are pushing towards releasing into testing. It's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to put it into some kind of live environment or a pre-prod environment for the client to see, but that's not how they want to work. So instead of that, we're releasing 3 sets of MVPs into testing. We have a blockers board. I really like a different name for that, but nevertheless, it sounds about right. So one of a huge, great board, got loads of post notes on it, and everybody can visually see it. And I'll let you in another secret. Where the management sit, and I know walking around here I'm going to get blinded, but the management are kind of this bit of the office, and most of the team are up this bit of the office, and digital's over there. I put the blocker board right there, so when all they can see is the blocker board. So we can get on whatever we want down here because they can't actually see us, but they can see all the blockers. And whenever they come to me and say, "Where's the velocity?" I say, "Have you sorted the blockers out yet?" And we can have those kind of conversations. It's a bit of fun now as well. But I wanted to make it very prominent what they're doing. I don't know if anyone's used that Post-it note app where you can take pictures of it and it takes the Post-it notes. But that app we use in order to be able to send those blockers everywhere else as well. So Edinburgh and Bangalore and Poland, because there's all those other locations as well, can all see the same things that we're dealing with. Not on a day-to-day basis. Wasn't allowed a webcam for some reason, but they can do. They can still at least see what we're working on, and they can see when their ones come in. Next bit, because I'm being hurried up as well. Community practice. We've got a community practice for the Scrum Masters. Very good idea. Don't scrimp on it. It was a couple of hours. We always fill up the couple of hours. We have a daily scrum of scrums as well. And we have a PO sync 2 or 3 times a week, depending if we've got a sprint finishing or not. We tend to miss that one out. Next one is the guilds. So we have guilds, Spotify type guilds for the BA community, the technical community, and the operations guys. What are they? Anyone want to hazard a guess before I say what's on my mind?
Kind of where you group all people that work in a certain technical area together, like so you've got senior developers together, the QA testers together.
Exactly, yeah. So it's typically what Spotify do. I think what I found working within the bank that helps them is there are a lot of head ofs, head of BAs, head of operations, head of the technical side. And when you take all their people and put them on a scrum team, they feel like they're losing control. Give them a guild, warm and fluffy. Program dependency board, again, really good technique, almost textbook. We put the dependency board up in our very first PI planning session. It was very obvious that we had a technical team, kind of one of those technical guilds is there, that everybody was dependent upon. So we took those people and we put them, wait, one more slot, one more bit, and then you can take a picture. There's I forgot what I was going to say now, you've put me on. There was, that's it, the technical team, everybody was dependent upon something to do with the technical team. They were doing all sorts of API type stuff. So we split them up and we put them in each team, took away the further dependencies in a stroke. And it wasn't visible until we used all the bits of string and the bits of paper, and it really worked. Now you can take it Lastly, loosely DevOps, and I say loosely DevOps because really, from at least my point of view, I'm sure there's a load of other opinions in the room. DevOps is about the operational side of IT and making that bit work from the beginning. This is about the actual manual side of it. We're delivering a product into an environment where there's an operational aspect to it, and we need to make sure they knit together. So literally the reason why I wasn't available the last couple of days is because I had to disappear up to Scotland to talk to all our operations people and put in, give them Jira, which they will thank me for probably never. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where we're at to.